Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54. European Union leaders met their African counterparts in Ivory Coast on Wednesday for discussions expected to focus on migration. The summit is due to focus on education, investment in youth and economic development to prevent refugees and economic migrants from attempting the treacherous journey across the Mediterranean. Like many African leaders, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has called for Europe to broaden the legal avenues for migration from the continent using mechanisms such as student and temporary work visas. Now, for more on the EU-Africa Summit, journalist Leanne De Bassompierre joins me live via Skype from Abidjan. Leanne, first tell us a little more about the theme of this summit and what the expectations are right there.
Well, it's quite a long theme that they have, and it's quite intense, saying harnessing the demographic divide through investments in youth. And what it roughly means is finding opportunities for youth across both continents, in fact, so that they steer clear of migration, that they steer clear of terrorism, and they look for new opportunities in the countries where they hail from. So this summit is really about finding those opportunities and opening the conversation to a broader understanding between Africa and Europe about youth issues and how they can better improve the lives of the young people in both continents.
And I know there are many stakeholders there. What are some of the suggestions that are being presented?
Well, the summit only got underway a couple of hours ago, so we've just had the opening statements, so no real suggestions have come out as yet. And this is something that was brought up by civil society, saying that in the run-up to the summit, there's not been enough involvement from them as to what this summit actually needs to achieve. So it's something that we will keep a close eye on in the next couple of days as the summit unfolds.
And there are some people there you may have spoken to, Oxfam, for example. What are they saying? What do they think needs to be done?
Well, in fact, Vincent, Oxfam was one of the organizations, they are an anti-poverty organization. They've been speaking on the sidelines of the summit, saying they were not included in all aspects of the organization. They've said that the summit needs to take responsibility, for example, for the issues that we've seen that have emerged from Libya, reports of slavery by migrants in the past few weeks. And this is a big issue that everybody has mentioned, all speakers, from the opening statements made by President Alassane Ouattara, the Ivorian president, to the Secretary General of the United Nations, the AU Commissioner, and several other speakers that have spoken today have spoken out against what's been happening in Libya. And these organizations like Oxfam, for example, saying that we should not just be condemning them, but we should look at possible ways that we can mitigate this from happening. We've had the South African President, Jacob Zuma, saying that we also need to be looking to help Libya in seeing how they can help as a member of the African Union and help them dealing with this crisis as well.
Is there any indication that they would also discuss the issue of repressive governments? We know that some people leave their countries, not necessarily for economic reasons, but also because of the political situation at home.
Yes, the distinction has been made, in fact, into what kind of migrants you have. As you mentioned, some people leave their countries or want to get out of their countries exactly for that reason. The other issue that has been tried to be brought on the table by the European Union is in terms of support to the ICC as part of good governance, but the African Union has not wanted to elaborate on that and has actually declined to include that as part of the draft resolution.
Quickly tell us a little bit about the mood in that city and how well it's coping with the many hundreds of visitors.
While several key boulevards have been closed across the economic capital of Ivory Coast, Abidjan, locals here have been complaining they haven't been able to get to school and work and spending hours in the traffic as a result of the road closures. The actual venue where it's being held is the Hotel Ivoire, which is an historic building where it's taking place. It's extremely crowded, but there's a very nice vibe to what's happening at the summit venue, though I don't know that Ivorians will be too happy about what's been happening, but it's really puts the city back on the map, so to speak, bringing this vibe back to West Africa.
Okay, Leanne, let's see if we can catch up with you tomorrow after those discussions have taken place. Now, that is journalist Leanne De Bassompierre, who's in Abidjan and joined us via Skype.